This is the Business Stuff Podcast. This is where I will share the lessons I've learned from advising thousands of businesses over almost 30 years. Each episode will give you practical insight to allow you to learn from other people's mistakes. I'll be pulling in experts from our team and the world of business, and together we'll make sure your business is giving you what you want. My name is Martin, and this is the Business Stuff Podcast. Hi, it's Martin from the Accelerator team, and I'm here with Michelle Jones from Kind Currency. Hi Michelle, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm okay, thank you.
Good. Do you want to give us a brief intro so people know a little bit about you, and then we'll explore more?
Of course, I'm Michelle Jones, I'm the founder of Kind Currency, and we make kindness accessible to protect people and planet. Basically, it's an enabler. And we're going to be signposting, celebrating and rewarding kindness, making it easy for everybody to do their little bit to make a difference.
Good, well, nice solid intro. Why do you think this was necessary? How long have you been doing it, and why did you think it was necessary?
It actually came from a place of frustration and anger. So my whole backstory is that I've got chronic illnesses. So I've been obviously exposed to lots of kind people through the care system. And what I tended to find that all these lovely people that looked after us all, many of them were struggling themselves. Obviously we then hit the pandemic, and that need was exposed on a huge scale in terms of that essential frontline worker. And again, it was those people that we really depend upon in society, but you scratch the surface and they really needed some support, but there's no support there. The current strike situation is again highlighting that as well. And on the other side of that, I was heavily invested within the charity and voluntary sector, several different roles, and I just kept taking on more and more roles to try and make a difference. And again, I was going faced with the same issue. Lovely, beautiful, kind people giving their all to make the world a better place, make a difference in people's lives. But many of them were struggling themselves. So you had the person who was running the local food bank going home with a food bank parcel themselves. Then there's another area of my life. So I've got another business. I've been a business owner for more years than I'll say.
We don't disclose ages on here. Yeah.
And that,
some or many, that's all. Yes. It's the only detail we need.
But that business has been positioned within a very privileged part of society, and what I tended to witness within that sector wasn't that privilege supporting need. It was quite the opposite, and I had people who wanted people to work for exposure. So you had very wealthy individuals needing the services of a small business. That small business is desperately trying to make a living, put food on the table, but then being asked to work for exposure for a tag on social media by an influencer or a well-positioned individual. Often
people who aren't that much of an influencer either.
It was one of those things where every day I was being faced with this vastness in society and this whole concept that I call greed over need. So when I talk about levelling up, I'll normally say need over greed, but where privilege wasn't really doing anything to make a difference, this whole filtering down wasn't happening. The people we really depend upon in society were struggling. And I just thought, where's the gratitude? Where is the kindness? It's not just the hashtag. And as individuals, we've all got the power to make a difference. And that then developed into an idea, which grew into a concept, in terms of enabling everybody to make that difference with the little bit of resource that they've potentially got to give.
Yeah. So is it at the heart then about connecting people with spare money, spare time, spare resource, whether it be excess food, excess whatever, with people who need it? Is it almost just like an introduction type thing, or is it more formal than that?
Yes, well, I don't want it to be a formal thing. I want it to be fun. Kind Currency is all about engaging people, to interact with each other and to support each other. And that can be a one basis, or it can be within a community. And ideally, we want to build cohesive and inclusive communities, because that's what's better for us all.
Yeah.
It's what's better for the country, it's what's better for the economy.
Well, everyone knows the idea of community spirit.
Yeah.
But we don't quite have it as much as we might think.
Yes. So in terms of what people can do by being involved in kind currency, where that support system, that's going to enable you to do that a little bit more. When I was exploring this idea and I went out and did the market research, and which I've done 2 since of that, and read quite a few papers on the psychology behind the way we work, from a community perspective and a consumer perspective. What I tended to find was humans want to be kind, we want that interaction with others and we want to help our fellow man. But the type of society that we live in now puts in place quite a number of barriers. So there's always a but. And I just thought,
I'd love to help,
but yes.
I haven't got the time, I don't know where to start.
Yeah, and financial, the resources, energy and effort are huge. So those barriers, I thought if I could relieve those and make it really easy for people to do a little bit, because that's what it's about. It's not just one person doing a lot, it's about all of us doing a little bit. And I've got a bit of a motto where I say a little bit of kindness makes the world sparkle. And really, that sounds really sort of fluffy and romantic, but it's true. There's that ripple effect. So if we all just do our little bit, then we make that bigger global change.
And where because obviously you've called this kind currency, that would suggest that there is a trade between two sides in some way.
Yes.
There's a deal struck, there's an agreement made. Mm-hmm. Does that require commitment then? Or can you just say, actually, I've got a one-off thing, there's something, you can do what you want with it? Or are you looking for partners to team up and take on projects, events? What's the context of being part of the community? Well, the beauty of the community is that there's lots of different channels that you can be involved in, and it's multi-layered with multi-impact. So primarily, we're an opportunity for you to take part as little or as much as you want. So one of the ways that people can get involved, which we'll be launching this summer, will be our membership, and that is for consumers looking to shop kind, individuals who want to be kind but they haven't got the energy, the time, and they just want to be able to give a little bit, and know that it's going to go out there and work its magic. And that membership will not only signpost, but it will reward as well. So anybody that's a member, we will support them to live a kinder lifestyle and make kind decisions and take kind action every single day. So a couple of different things then. So you said it'll enable you. Is that business or people?
People.
Who are you after? Because this isn't businesses. Mm-hmm. You're not asking businesses for sponsorship there. That is membership.
Yes.
To help them buy more responsibly, buy local, or
yeah.
use
basically,
local services. What's the?
We call it Shop Kind. So we'll be supporting people to shop kind, and that's basically signposting local businesses, ethical businesses, social enterprises, charities and good causes.
So if you're after a bike, recycle a bike, sell used refurbished bikes, why not?
Yeah.
Instead of importing a new bike from wherever they come from,
instead
why
of just
not
jumping online, and obviously just do it. We want it to be a simple engagement where that action actually supports local people and local communities. So that's one element of the membership is signposting, but it'll go that one step further. We're going to be able to track people's kindness, and with that tracking system, we'll be able to reward them.
Right, okay.
And part and parcel of that as well will engage that membership in events as well going forward. So we're very much a digital solution as well as an in-person solution.
Because I know I couldn't make the last one you did, but you have events in Gosforth, or you've had events in Gosforth that I've seen. Yes,
we have, and we've got an events programme throughout this year where people will be able to come, have fun, but actually really get involved in our mission and our purpose and make a difference. And so that membership they'll be able to utilise, but the membership on its own, without you doing anything else, will deliver impact. So for every £5 that membership obviously gains within kind currency, we will be supporting the Woodland Trust, and it'll be feeding our kindness fund. Now the Woodland Trust obviously protects a lot of the woodland around the UK. Rather than just planting trees, it actually sustains those woodland areas, which supports obviously our environmental our environment. So, and
it's quite hard to do something like that in the middle of Gosforth.
Yes.
You can't just plant trees. So you're taking off the environmental thing on a wider.
Yes.
It's not necessarily immediately local.
Yeah.
So it gives people a chance to benefit a wide.
Yeah. And our kindness fund supports those individuals in society that we depend upon that are living in deprivation. Through that, we'll be obviously asking for community heroes to be nominated, and then we'll support that community hero with opportunities and resources to help lift their life above the poverty line so that they can meet their basic needs, so that we enable them to keep obviously giving the kindness that they're giving. Do you know, at the moment, we've got an NHS service that is drastically low on numbers, and that all boils down to the safety within the system. And actually we need to thank those individuals, and we need to support them to keep doing that great work. Do you know, we all are dependent on them, so actually just doing a little bit helps sustain that need. So for instance, our kindness fund will potentially support a nurse on a lower income with a monthly travel pass, you know, or a car parking pass, or obviously access to training or access to childcare, so that actually
something just to ease the
burden and to say, right, you're doing a great job. You know, there's no support system out there for us.
Because I mean, regardless of the reasons why, there are people who qualify for, you know, vouchers from food banks, etc. But a nurse might not, but they might still need a bit of a leg up. So how do you then? Because obviously people can then become a member. That's fine. What connection do you want from businesses on this? And because you do want businesses involved, don't you? There's two sides here by the sounds of it. Why not be an ethical service or good provider? But also, you can also just be involved and say, well, I'm happy to help.
Yeah.
I can't easily become one of these ethical providers, but I'm happy to help other people do it.
Yes.
And I still want to buy from those. So give us a little bit more about the two sides of business then.
So we've got obviously our Humankind Club, which is where our membership sits, and our opportunities to get involved from a consumer and a people point of view. Our Kind Business Club, so we're going to have our Shop Kind directory, and that will be home to all the local businesses, the ethical businesses, the charities and social enterprises that have products and services to sell to the consumer. So we really want to celebrate what they're doing in terms of protecting people and planet, basically showcase who they are so people can build that connection, you know, and basically bridge that gap between them and somebody who's looking to shop kind.
And how do you, without going into the micro detail, what are the criteria used to determine whether someone is ethical or not? Because you've got, I mean, so we're a B Corp, which has a whole host of things. It's externally verified. But then even within B Corp, you've got, I don't know, innocent drinks. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't be a B Corp, but innocent doesn't help anyone in Gosforth. It doesn't help you buy local or anything. There might be ethical supplying and all those things. But what's your criteria then? You know, how does someone demonstrate that they are? Yeah,
so the first protocol is the application form. And it's very simple, you know, it's not, we're not asking you to spend any money on, which I know obviously a lot of these processes take a lot of investment. It's a very simple application. Our first pillar is about protecting people within your business. Now, if you're an independent business, then it's ensuring that your supply chain, you know, that's fair. But we ask everybody that they're paying the living wage. And for us, that doesn't matter what the age of the individual is within the organisation, everybody must receive the living wage. Because at the end of the day, you could have a 17-year-old who's got a flat and bills the same as anybody else, and a child as well to look after. So we look for that from the age of 16 all the way up. So that's the first pillar.
And your utility bill doesn't care how old you are, does it?
No, exactly.
And everybody... You've still got to pay it, you've still got to get the bus. The bus isn't cheaper or dearer.
Everything is the same. And it's also that person's value. That obviously 17-year-old, stood next to a 30-year-old doing the same job, there's no difference. You know, they're still giving the same amount of effort, energy.
And I know there's a difference in possible experience, but they bring a different thing, don't they? It's a different
absolutely.
Energy.
So we have
so living wage is quite an easy one to externally measure. Like,
yes.
Everyone knows what the living wage is, or you're paying it, yes or no.
Yes.
So it's like I say, it's not onerous. It might be hard to get to living wage. That's a different thing.
Yeah. And then obviously the other two pillars are, where are you kind? So if you're community driven or if you're environment driven.
And this is just evidence based. You either are or you won't.
Yes.
Is it as simple as that?
Yeah, and we've got basically, you can obviously lots of tick boxes, but we need to see the evidence. You know, so if you're saying that you're a small independent business and you're collaborating with the local charities, so some of your profits go to that local we need to see obviously that transaction, we need to see it in evidence and that relationship built up. Or if you're an SME, you know, and you're saying that you're supporting community, we want you to be able to showcase, you know, how you support that community. Same as environmental, you know, if you're a service-based company, we want to see that your processes and systems, you know, are sustainable. What we're not saying is to go to the nth degree, you know, what we're saying is this is about a little bit. So if you're a local refill store, you know,
someone who's putting some effort in.
Yes.
They're not just saying, oh, we're good, we're kind. It's like, well, you can demonstrate that you are actually, because kind's a soft word, it doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
But it means different things to different people. I don't mean that to sound bad, but what someone would class as kind, someone else might not. But you've set a couple of easily pillars there.
Yes.
Are you doing a bit of that, bit of that, bit of that? Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. And then I suppose one of the advantages to business of doing that, we've talked a lot on here about why it should be a B Corp. We spoke to Durham Community Foundation about easy ways to access for people who've got spare money, let them worry about finding the need, all of those things. There's lots of good evidence about why being a good employer makes good business sense. Mm-hmm. And I suppose what you're doing is you're saying, well, if you are a good employer, why not be on our directory list? There's a direct connection there. You might get business because you are on our list.
Yeah.
Is it that like we may as well send work to people who are doing some good.
Yes.
Let's reward them for that.
Mm-hmm. And it's celebrating the businesses and sharing those stories as well. And it's a free opportunity for businesses.
That's what I'm saying. If you're doing it anyway, why not be on the directory list? Yeah.
And you get a medal of kindness.
Oh,
so you get to celebrate that kindness yourself.
Can't argue that.
It is, but obviously, like the B Corp certification and the social enterprise certification, that you've got your digital asset as well as obviously your tangible assets. We want people to be able to have that medal of kindness so that they can have it on their website or within their shop or their market store, so people can easily identify that when they exchange their pennies for that product and service, that those pennies are going to a good place. You know, they're going to a business that is supporting people and planet. And obviously that is one of the barriers for a consumer.
Where to spend your money.
Yes.
You don't know, do you?
Exactly. So we wanted to make it really easy. Like you said, kindness is a word that everybody understands. They might understand it on different levels, but actually if they see something which is a symbol of kindness that registers with them, that's a really easy access point for them to feel safe, to trust that if they spend their pennies there, it's going to the right place. And that's what kind currency is all about, relieving those pinch points of, oh, well, I don't know what's kind and I don't know what's ethical. And obviously that term ethical within itself is a minefield. But people are overwhelmed by the system, you know, they're overwhelmed by sustainability, they're overwhelmed by the news of what's going on in terms of people deprivation and the climate emergency. And we just want to make it really easy for them to go, right, if I spend my money here, I know it's okay.
Because on the consumer side, you're right, you know, there's a lot of anxiety about where to start, how do I start, what difference will I make?
Yeah.
And I've long thought business has a key role to play in this, because if business can change its behaviours, then everyone who uses that business is helping towards that change. It's an easy way to have a micro transaction that helps, isn't it? So all you're doing is saying, well, you know, you're going to spend this money anyway. If you can change where you buy your supplier, the product you buy to we'll just say a kind product or a kind service to give it an easy catch, then they're doing that bit without changing their lives. It doesn't impact much, does it?
No, not at all. Absolutely not at all. And it's just that slight little support to change that habit that makes all the difference. And that's what people want. You know, we need our hand held.
Just make it easy.
Yeah,
I'm all for easy, simple, keep it dumb, keep it,
And as I say, that's a digital opportunity where people will be able to obviously filter the businesses. You know, they'll be able to search on location, whether it's B2B, whether it's B2C, you know, and then obviously need as well. Do you know, do they want to search for a business that they know is going to be supporting charity? Do you know, and then select that area of focus. So people are going to be able to really make a clear choice that they're impassioned about as well in terms of supporting those businesses.
So again, you might have 3 people who offer the similar thing, pick the one
that fulfills
the version of
you.
kindness that ticks your box.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the second element to business here then seems to me then, Michelle, so one of the things that we as a B Corp had to or have to assess our supply chain. This seems to give people an easy way to, not necessarily to depend on exactly the certification you're going for, but if we were buying from a kind register, then in theory we're buying off people where that living wage assessment's already been fulfilled. We haven't got to say to our printer, you're paying living wage, aren't you? Because it's quite hard doing that on everything you buy.
Yeah.
So again, it's a good way for business who might want to be looking at their supply chain to easily, I suppose, start there, isn't it?
Yes,
it's not going to fulfil everything, but it's an easy start.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's engaging those social enterprises that have already taken those steps, you know, with other businesses that are looking to make those changes. And really, as a business, there's 2 areas we can make that change quickly. And that is 1, treating our staff well, and 2, our supply chain. To, you know, get those 2 things right, and you're more or less there.
There's not a mass, unless you're pouring oil in the tine.
But we're not going to.
But you know you're not meant to do that. You don't need someone to tell you not to do that.
Yes.
You should already not be doing that.
Yeah.
Right, okay then. Just out of curiosity then, because obviously, Michelle, you mentioned that there's a lot going on, and it feels like there's been a lot going on for years now. I mean, is this an easy ask if you say to businesses, or do you find businesses go, oh yeah, get me on there, that'll be great, and you go, you're doing these things, and like, how easy are you finding it to get people to join this register? Are you pushing up a hill, is what I'm asking now?
Yeah, no, not at all. Obviously, the vetting process takes time. So we'll tend to go through a period where we've obviously engaged in activities so that we get a bit of a deluge in people signing up. Then we obviously got to go through the process of vetting them and getting them on board. And at the moment, we're working between the website that we've got, which was our sort of soft launch website. This is what we're here to do. I have built that myself, and then with a little bit of support.
Is it creaking now slightly, or?
So, and obviously it's not designed in its current context to deliver the opportunity that we wanted to deliver. So we're working at the moment on the platform, which will obviously put everything into action.
Yeah.
And once we get to that stage, in terms of onboarding businesses will have their profiles, you know, where we'll be able to really celebrate them, and
so we'll a mini shop front.
Yeah.
Oh, I need this kind of thing. Oh, well, these guys do this.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
And whereas at the moment we upload them onto the website, and it tells people a little bit about them, it has their logo, and then it redirects them to where you can find them, which is really simple at the moment. But everybody I speak to wants to be involved, you know, and it is a bit of a win-win. You know, it's a free opportunity. It's somebody else shouting about your business, so your voice is getting heard, you know, the messaging's getting obviously going out lots of different avenues, and you don't have to do a lot, you know, other than just be active in the community.
It's an easy way for business to try and just chip a little bit away at it, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And we all know it's difficult, you know, for businesses, especially small businesses, to be heard. But if they're in a community, their voice is heard, but we take it beyond the digital with Kind Currency because we're very much about action and in person. So our events as well are another opportunity for businesses. So we'll be utilising businesses within, which we already have obviously through our events that we've already held, within the community. Do you know, that's our supply chain, that's who we're contracting.
You're not getting your fairy cakes from Costco, presumably.
No.
Right.
So,
nothing against Costco, but yeah.
So it's the benefit of that collaboration. Do you know, we're going to come to you if you're in our directory to be able to support your business, but for you to support our events and contract those services. And then there's the event activity, taking part in those events as well, in terms of whatever the context of the event. If your business matches, then you've got the opportunity to take part in it. So it's that added layers as well on top. You know, so it's free to be part of the community, but it comes with all this opportunity. We do have a pay it forward system though within the business element. And this is a way as well that we can reward the members. Every business needs to incentivise consumers to spend with them. And yes, obviously signposting to say they're good, but you could be one of a couple of businesses, and we want you to go that one step further to support your business and fulfill a need within your business. So just for instance, say that you're a coffee shop and you've got an abundance of a product, you know, that someone's ordered incorrectly, then you'll be able to put offers out to our members and people will be able to redeem those, you know, increase your trade and your profit, but you fulfilled a need because that product that you had too much of that was potentially going to end up in the bin is now obviously
because you use the word privilege, don't you? And anyone who follows anything will think privilege. I'm not privileged, you know. How much? And you just mean any excess, anything spare, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
And not everybody, but a good proportion of businesses have spare time, a spare resource, like they've got some waste that they would have been, they don't need to. And you mentioned food, or, you know, coffee shop, but it might be, you know, you might have over-ordered on paper, you might have changed your branding, you've got spare stuff, haven't you? Yeah. Some of your old pens with the wrong logos on, don't bin them, offer them out, let people use them either for free or sell them off. So most people have spare something, don't they? Yes. Some capacity in some way. So again, you're not asking people to do something out the ordinary here. You're not saying to join you need to go and buy loads of stuff and give it away. You're not saying that. Yeah. Oh no. I presume if someone says, "I'm happy to do that," you're not going to say no.
Oh yeah. Brilliant. Yes. What I tend to find is there's a lot of membership opportunities out there. Obviously, there's quite a big high street restaurant, which is a global company that runs it. And if you've got one of their cards, you can go in. Yeah. But that restaurant has to give 50% off then on the food. And I couldn't see for the life of me how that...
Which might be uneconomical.
Yeah, it's like, well, I can see where it puts bums on seats.
Twice as much food at half the price.
Yes.
Well, you're not any further forward, are you?
But what I do understand is that every business has got a need within it. And if you can then create offers, incentives around that need, again, it's a win-win. You've rewarded the individual for shopping more consciously and getting to know your business. But at the same time, you've increased trade and profit whilst fulfilling a need within your business. So it's just a little, it's about thinking.
It's the old thing of good capitalism, which, because some people think all capitalism is bad. I don't. I believe that you need businesses to make money, so they've got this spare. Yeah. If you haven't got anything, there's nothing to give, is there?
Yeah, exactly.
Take it if it's not there. So, what's your geographical kind of work on this then, Michelle? Because I know the last meeting I saw was in Gosforth, just off Gosforth High Street. Are you planning to roll this across the country, or are you just saying, well, look, we'll solve Newcastle first, or what's your?
Well, baby steps. It's always been my mantra.
Gosforth first, then Newcastle.
with Kind Currency, do you know, it's one of those things that for something to be sustainable, you've got to obviously build a community, do you know, and that community's got to grow because they see it working. So it is started very local, and very, very local to actually where my local community is.
But to be fair, that fits within the whole idea of buying local.
Yes.
I know that's not your slogan, but it's pointless having someone from St Ives trying to sell cupcakes to someone in Gosford, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
not gonna
exactly,
work.
exactly.
And I know digital services delivered, I know you can, but kind of defeats one of the objectives about looking after your community, doesn't
Yeah, it does. And sustainable wise, the best thing you can do is go local. If you want to do your bit for the planet, you can't necessarily sort of change all your habits. Going local is the big one. Yeah. So, but I do want it to go national, but it'll always have a local
So even
focus.
if it was across the country, you would still be ideally on a local directory.
Yes.
In the first instance.
Yeah, and our events as well would always take place within that locality, so anybody feeding into them will always come from the local area.
You don't sort of drive up from Leeds to pitch their pensions or something. Yeah.
No, we won't be doing any of that. It is very much about on your doorstep. I don't know if obviously you're aware about the way pound works in the economy.
It's 5 to 8 times
it's
the velocity of money.
It's like 68 pence stays in the local area if you shop local.
It goes around quite a few times, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually that loses its value quite considerably if you've bought from outside of your local area, and obviously then it moves on again.
Yeah.
So that's it, you get one touch point of that pound, and what we're saying is we want that pound to have a huge impact with every touch of it. And that's why it's called kind currency in a sense. You know, money makes the world go around, profit is needed, but we're using profit for good. And we want that profit to make impact every step of the way. So yes, I do see this being a national offering, but we're starting...
Still ideally,
starting local.
You mentioned about this validation process, not a validation, a sign off an application process. What areas are you seeing people fail on at the moment? Because not everyone's a living wage employer, and nor can they be. So I would imagine some fail on that one straight off. But what are what classics are you seeing? People, oh no, we're dead good, honestly.
Do you know what I'm finding? People don't understand where their kind value sits. So the application will come in, and you'll go through it, and they've not really hit anything, but you know their business.
And you go, but you do this. Oh yeah, we do. Sorry, yeah.
So they can say how they're kind in a broad context, but they can't niche it down. But so a lot of the time, it's that one-to-one conversation that we're having with businesses where it's like, well, you were doing this and doing this and doing this. Actually, this is where you're making a difference. And trying to get them to understand where they're really delivering impact is really important. I had somebody who offered...
Are you saying some people, not that they've got imposter syndrome, but they don't realise that they actually are doing this?
I'm not sure what it is, to be honest, but the minute you start highlighting it or getting them to dig deeper, you know, when you're in school and your teacher would always go that bit deeper, and you'd be sat there going, I don't know.
And then somehow you pull it out the bag,
But sometimes it's just that when something's so close to you, you can't see it.
Yeah.
Do you know, and for instance, recently we had somebody who offered virtual services, and they wanted to be part of the community, but didn't think they could be. And once we stripped it back and understood all their clients were charity and social enterprise clients, there were no printing, so everything was digital, you know, so from
there's no footprints really.
Apart from obviously email, you know, your digital footprint, but in terms of impact on environment, they had very little impact, and that all their services supported other services that were doing good. You know,
so helping people to do good is in itself a good thing.
So, but they hadn't mentioned any of that in the application.
Also, they didn't even say our customer base is all charity.
Yes, but I knew that's who their customer base is. Well, I always profile businesses when they come through, because you'll tend to find that they've missed things, and sometimes those things they've missed are really important. You know, so actually going back to this individual and highlighting to them, and then they were able to go, oh well, this, that, and that as well.
If that, then this.
Yes.
What's your take then, Michelle? Because if you read, any newspaper, any website, anything, business is evil, it's just trying to crush people. It sounds like that's not your I'm sure you would agree there are some, but were you quite surprised by how many people there were out there actually doing good? The unsung business heroes, as it were?
That's obviously though the reason why I created Kind Currency, because I was coming into contact with people all the time that were delivering so much kindness, but there wasn't that gratitude, there wasn't that thanks there, and obviously I wanted to prevent these individuals from struggling. I've been that individual, and so a lot of it's from lived experience. I've seen it with my own eyes and witnessed it and experienced it for myself. The world is a good place, it is a kind place. Unfortunately, what we've got is a situation where the noise at the top is bigger and the people at the bottom, they're very quiet, or they daren't say anything and don't want to say anything, and sort of then in the middle you've got all these different layers, and we need to help each other, so that we can all be heard as well. But on the whole, I see the world as being kind, because I've been surrounded by lots of kind people. Obviously within a very serious part of my life and my chronic illnesses, I wouldn't be here without that kindness. In my charity and voluntary roles, I see that being reflected on a daily basis. I'm surrounded by it and I see it, but I also see the negative side of it. And what I don't want is that to have a bigger voice than the good.
Because I see this. Most people I speak to, I'm very much of the opinion that if you asked 100 people 100 questions, I think we'd probably all agree on 90% of the answers. But unfortunately, the extremes seem to get all the attention.
Yeah.
The very bad people, or the really attention grabbing,
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the vast majority of people agree on the vast majority of things.
Yeah.
But somehow we're all pitted against each other. It's just not my reality.
It's not at all, but that's not your reality on the street. The problem we've got is we've got a very social world now that's played out.
It's exaggerated, I think.
Yeah, and a lot of it isn't real. It's fake culture.
Yeah.
It's not real lives. And things are manipulated. And obviously what we were saying earlier about words being taken out of context and twisted, that's happening on a daily basis, and there's nobody at all challenging it, questioning it. So it's been allowed to get bigger and bigger.
But you're not trying to fix that, are you?
No.
You're just trying to say, well, there is all that noise, let's actively put out good noise.
Yeah.
Or kind noise.
Yes.
You're actively trying to say, let's be kind, here are some easy ways you can do it, here's the clear advantages to those who want to be kind.
Yeah.
Look, it's there if you want it. Let's take it.
Yeah.
And you can't argue against that, can you?
No, you can't. You'll have the odd few that'll go, oh, I'm not
sure
interested.
Someone is going to come up with some terrible, yeah, what about this? Because you mentioned the idea about tracking the currency, then just finally, then so is that something that's there now, or is that something you're building out so you can go, oh, you've transacted this many times this way. This is what. How are you going to place a value on that kind of? Well, currency again is a value thing, isn't it?
Yeah, the tracking's two-part. So we've got individual tracking of kindness, and then obviously we've got our own impact as Kind Currency. So obviously the impact from Kind Currency has already started. Obviously with our proof of concept events that we had in the autumn, we're just at the moment pulling together all of those impact points to be able to deliver them, so people can actually physically say, right. Oh, well, actually this is what this achieved, this is the impact and the change that was created. And we want to be really transparent through the whole life of Kind Currency and really showcase how we're making a difference on a daily basis. So the businesses, the businesses that we're supporting, being able to showcase how they're benefiting from being part of the community.
And is that by tracking what the number of connections you've made? Because you can't really track the number of the value of a transaction necessarily, can you?
No, but obviously the redeem button on the business profiles will be able to track that.
Right.
Yeah, and obviously the footfall in terms of shop fronts, you know, when people actively engage that are part of the community, be able to track that. Our events was a massive way of being able to track. So we held a 4-hour Christmas event obviously in November before Christmas.
Best time for most Christmas events, I think.
And
Not after people have had enough.
And the impact report from that is unbelievable for 4 hours, you know, so you can capture that.
So can you give us some
easily.
examples of what kinds of impact would generate? Because people might think, well, this all sounds great, but what?
Yes.
Come on, sell it. You know.
So one of our major points where I would pay it forward, our Mrs. Claus experience. So we had individuals who were purchasing a ticket to that event, and on the box we were basically saying you would be buying a child a gift for Christmas that was living in deprivation. What we actually did, which obviously we couldn't share because of safeguarding, was that those families were invited to the event and took part in that experience.
So if you were there, you didn't know whether you were a ticket buyer or you didn't know whether you were a donor or a recipient?
Yes, yeah. And obviously the recipients, a lot of them are protected, protected families, supported by family support officers in schools and things. And one of the cases that we've got, which we'll be delivering in our impact report, is we had a little boy who would come along, and it was a school that had obviously gifted him the place when we got in touch, and he came along to the event as a child that hadn't been interacting. Obviously can't share too much about his circumstances, and he was engaged in the activity. Like his mum was absolutely, over the moon with the fact that he ended up on Mrs. Claus's knee, fully in with the story. Every child went home with a book. They also got to meet the author of who wrote the book. And then we got feedback from the school, which was saying he'd taken this book into school every single day and asked them to read it. So this experience, it opened up communication, it opened up education.
You can't price that, can you?
No, you can't price that. And so that's impact on one individual. Another situation was that we'd invited a theatre group along, an inclusive theatre group, where they sung carols, to a whole audience of people who were there fully in the Christmas spirit. And the inclusive theatre group had children of various ages with various disabilities, and some carols were sing and sign. That engaged those children with an audience beyond their own family and friends, and actually got...
It's like a safe way to expand personal, not boundaries. It's a safe way to step out into the unknown, but without too much risk.
Yeah.
It's not booking the Theatre Royal and not selling any tickets. It's a safe expansion of personal limits, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And which is great, yeah.
And the majority of that audience would be going to the Theatre Royal at Christmas to see the panto because they could afford to. Actually, this was allowing them to engage in a theatre company where there was a lot of disadvantage. And so now you've built that audience out, for that theatre company, but you've also raised awareness in that group of people. And then there's the financial impact as well. Within 4 hours, we created £12,500 for the local, that fed back into the local economy. So that full cycle of obviously
60% stays in again. It's up to 20 grand already. Another 60,
And obviously then the need was also evidenced in terms of people wanting it. People were spending, people were engaging, people were making a difference, and then they were asking for more. So in terms of delivering.
Next? Easter, Valentine's was before that. What's next? What's next?
We're not going to start our events programme until midway through the year. One, because obviously we need that opportunity to seek investment and funding.
Take stock and
and obviously we needed to be able to then create obviously the impact reports and everything that goes with it in terms of measuring off proof of concept. But the other side of it is ensuring that the digital is obviously alongside those in-person activities.
You don't want to drive too much traffic there if it's not quite ready.
Yes. So we're working at the moment on that two-front angle. We're preparing the digital to then go live for when our in-person activities as well kick off. In Being Kind Currency, obviously we're across across all industries and sectors. So we've got lots of events that are coming up that actually challenge different industries through our events and show the kinder side of those industries, and how people can really get involved and make a difference with their consumer spending.
Sounds good. Listen, Michelle, we normally finish with a question about, you know, so if you were giving people advertising advice or marketing advice or employment advice, we normally say, what's the one thing people are getting wrong? Do you want to answer that, or do you want to do you want to tell us one good thing that happened, and we'll try and keep it positive because we're talking about kindness.
Kindness is an action. It's not a word.
There you go. So it's a verb. It's a doing word, is it?
Yes, it
Good.
is, and it is all about action.
So don't forget, you can be kind all you want, but unless you're doing something with that kindness,
Yeah.
Because empathy and sympathy doesn't pay the bills, does it?
No,
Doesn't
it
feed
doesn't.
people. It doesn't. Yeah.
And people love to say, oh yeah, I'm a kind person, and obviously say they're kind, but what makes the difference is the doing.
Yeah. Good. I like it. Kindness is an action, not a feeling. I love it. So that was Michelle from Kind Currency. Michelle's details will be in the comments. Reach out. I'm sure Michelle will be very happy to have you on the website or chat to you, or actively encourage you to be more kind. And obviously, hopefully we've demonstrated some of the reasons why being a kind business, whether it's this kindness or kind generally, is good for business. Thanks very much, Michelle.
Thank you. It's been good.
Good.